Hello YouTubers, today we're looking at a Landroid WG796e.1. There are similar models which I'll list in the descriptions. So essentially we have an error which I believe is fairly common. Well, it's fairly common to me anyways, it's been happening for weeks now. Getting this Landroid lift up error. Now sometimes when you do press 0 to reset, it doesn't. So what I usually do is I give it this little temper here and I press it again. It does clear for the moment. But that's unsustainable. So today I'm going to show you how to replace a little magnet which should solve all our problems. Okay doke, I've just flipped it over. Now I had spoken to Landroid support, but they were unwilling to provide further support unless I left it into one of their repair shops. And here in Ireland, I don't know if there is any. So after a bit of Googling, I suppose the most common fix is a rusted magnet, and that needs to be replaced. So there was a video from Ekrano Train. What I'll do is I'll leave the link to his video in the description, but I suppose there was very little detail as to how I suppose the process that he went through in actually fixing it. So in his video he describes, now you can buy these little replacement magnet parts, and I will try and leave the proper part number or a link to it in the description, but they're too expensive. So following his method, I'm going to do what he did, which is to try and fit a piece from a hard drive, an old broken hard drive that has a magnet in it, and try and put it in the area that requires it. So the area in question is, and I'll just zoom in a small bit, and I'm just going to wiggle the chassis a bit so you can see there's always a bit of movement. So let me just see, there. So literally here, I'll try it there, you can see there's a little screw there. You take out that screw and the magnet is, you can see I'm just trying to fumble around, the magnet is literally lodged in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video again, going to get a screwdriver, try and pop that one there. I don't know if I'll have a lot of room. I have stripped this down before, but what I want to do today is try and just get a screwdriver, wedge it in there to see if I can actually get it out. So let's see what happens. Okay, so I've just gone inside for a minute to actually show you the part of the hard drive that I'm referring to. So you need, this is a 160 gig Seagate, is it? Yes, a Seagate hard drive. An old hard drive that had gone kaput. Literally take the motherboard apart. 4, 5, 6 screws. And that comes apart. Now, was there a screw there, I think, under one of those panels that I had to remove? Yes, maybe later on. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws at the top. It does take a bit of shimmying to get it off, but it does come off. And I should say, ooh, there is a sneaky screw inside here as well that needs to be removed. So once that's popped off, you're not actually taking the spindle, which is a big, almost like a CD inside the hard drive. You're actually taking off a little, it's either this side or the other side, which is a little magnet. The piece in question is here. Now it is actually, you can see that it's actually attached to this piece here. Sorry, now I'm trying to do the camera work and do it. So this essentially is, if anyone's familiar with an old record player, there's a needle is mounted on this, and it's reading the spinning disc inside with all the information. So it's not the disc itself that you're trying to do. You're trying to get this piece off. It does take a bit of taking apart a few screws inside, but essentially you're looking then to shimmy this magnet. It is super glued, and you can see that when I did wedge a screwdriver in to pop it off, it did come with the metal coating coming off, which try and do it nice and easy so that you don't I suppose get yourself in a situation where this is going to be rusted after a couple of weeks. So what I'm going to do later on is I'm literally going to chop a piece of this off to shove it in to replace the existing magnet in the Landroid. Now I will say that we will measure this later on just to try and get it as accurate as possible. Okay, so I'm not going to go in this way. It's just too tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of the chassis off, this guy at the front, and to do that I have to take off a couple of bolts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I know there's some other little screws that I have to take off on the way, but look, we'll find those as we go on. Oh, and I'm going to pop out the battery, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, 4 bolts are off using one of these guys with a number 10 head, and yes, I found those 4 screws. They are 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take those off now. Now there does be a bit of a wiggling and wrangling to try and get it off, but you know, play around it enough and you'll eventually get it off. Okay, I have the 4 screws taken out, so I'm going to try and wiggle this off. So it literally just slides kind of up the ways. It does take a bit of wiggling, so I might just pause the camera for a second and try and wiggle it off. Okay, so I've come around the other side, at the front of the motor, and I've managed to just wiggle this out. I haven't pulled the whole chassis apart. I've just put it enough at a 90-degree angle to get my screwdriver there, and we'll get this off, and then we'll slide out the little magnet and we'll see what we're dealing with. You can see a bit of it there, kind of rusted. Ooh. Okay, after much toing and froing, we eventually got it out. I can only describe it as a corroded mess. Actually took a lot of goes to, it broke up into shards, and we just had to take them out piece by piece. So when I measured whatever chunk that I had left of it, which is there, it is, notwithstanding I suppose all the gunk on it, about 4 mils in thickness, and the hard drive piece that I have is about 1.8. so I can either try and just leave it in there, or I can just make up 2 pieces. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces and see if I can shimmy them in together and see what happens. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Dremel, and I'm going to cut, because the width is 12 mil approximately, or sorry, should I say the height of it, of the slot. I'm going to try and just, I don't have the depth that I need, but I have the height, so I'm just going to cut 2 12 mil pieces and just shove them in and see what happens. Okay, here's what we're left with. See there, yeah. Not perfect, but it should do the trick. Give me 2 or 3 years, I hope, at least anyways. Obviously you can buy this part. I'll try and leave in the description what I think the part is. But I know from where I'm living in Ireland, it's a lot of the places that are stocking it is one place I can think of, Stoker, but it's more central Eastern Europe and the Nordic countries as well. So I suppose it was costing about €5, and then it was costing about €15 shipping. So and obviously the lead time, so I needed something quick and dirty, so hence the route that I've gone. Okay, I have it in the slot. You can see there's a bit of a gap, but I'm not too worried about that. Now I did hear that, you know, it depends which side you face the magnet. You may have to swap it to get it right, but I've literally taken a bit of guesswork here. Gonna just without putting the screw in, I'm gonna power it up and just see if that makes a difference, and if not, I'll flip it over. Okay, so I lie. So I'm gonna probably have to assemble put these bolts back in anyways. They are a bit tricky, so what I tend to do is I try and take a look at where they are and line them up as best I can, and I'm almost using my second and third finger to push them up into the hole, and you can't see it on the camera, but I'm just trying to line it up exactly, and then using the other hand then obviously pull this up with one hand, and using my left hand then screw this down before I actually put the ratchet in. Okay, in relation to putting in the bolts for the chassis, top chassis, you can see that the shape is slightly rectangle, so I believe that they have to be in that position to fit into these slots. So it does take a bit of toing and froing, but you'll get it. The best thing to do is to push down the chassis as tight as possible, and should be in the right position. Okay, so I've just gone out to do a trial run, and I have the bloody magnet in the wrong way around, so what I have to do is flip it around 180. So thankfully I only put in the first 2 bolts and the 2 screws here. Oh! Just a note when putting this back, you're probably better off cleaning it and greasing it up with something like WD-40 or some sort of oil, and obviously if you can spray it into the duct as well, just to kind of clear out anything in there, just helps it last a bit longer. And now the moment of truth. I'll just put in my password. Oh my goodness! Thank goodness. Phew! Well, look, that sounds all good. We let Mr. Freddy off. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat informative. and will hopefully help you in similar situation as well. So if you do find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.